Okay. So now I am creating here. So I am creating here a method public, a function I am creating. So that is insert, and console.log. So record inserted. And the return type for this function is an void type. So it is an void type. Functions and their return types, I will tell you detailedly later. We will discuss about them. Right? Initially, it is a void type, so it is returning this functionality. That means it is just insert to insert a record. Okay, good. Now important is I want, so here this is okay. I am creating a variable let oracle is equal to new database. That means it is using the memory. Remember here I am not using any parenthesis. I am not using any parenthesis because that empty parenthesis is actually referring to anonymous constructor. That means it is referring to the anonymous. We don't need that. We need that only when we are trying to pass something into constructor. Currently, later I will tell you more detail about this constructor. Initially, the point is, so here we are creating an object called Oracle. This object is using the memory of the class database. That's it. That means you are creating an object which is using the memory. New means dynamically allocating memory for which class? Database. That means that class related members are stored into the memory. Okay. Through that, I am saying oracle.insert. That means it will insert. Okay. Now important is, as per my rules, according to my database rules or any rules, as per my rules. So I don't want, as per the rules, I don't want. So we generally don't want to insert. As per the rules, we don't want to insert until we connect. Suppose we have database, and in order to first insert, before inserting, first we need to connect. After connecting, we have to insert. That is the basic technique actually. So connection is important before inserting. That means now here I have written the logic. So here I written the logic. I will save this. I will compile and run this. TSC, so demo.ts, and node demo.js. You can see that it is directly inserting. And if I try to insert directly with real-time database, generally if I do that, then immediately it shows an error saying that first connect, then you can insert. As of now, we just written a sentence, that is it, right? But it will say that first connect, then insert. So connection is compulsory to happen. Without connecting, you cannot insert, you cannot update, you cannot delete. So connection is mandatory. Then if it is mandatory, then if I create another method for that, another function for that connection, that means public connect, and connect is a void method. In the void method, what we are doing, console.log, so connected to database. This is what we are defining. Then what I have to do is, before inserting, every time I have to call that connect. That means before inserting, before updating, before deleting, every time I have to call that connect. That means now it is fine. That means it is connecting and it is connected to database and record is inserted. But I want this connection to happen automatically when the memory is allocated for this database class, because it is ready with connection, so that we can start inserting, updating and deleting. Then we will give this connection work to whom? We will give this connection work to a constructor. And how to create a constructor? In TypeScript, constructor is created just by using the keyword constructor. So just by using the keyword constructor and a parenthesis, that's it. It will not have any name. It is anonymous and automatically it will execute. It will execute. That means now you don't have any method for connect. We don't need, we are just inserting. We are just inserting, but observe carefully now. We are just inserting. It says connection connected to database some successfully. Okay. Now the constructor have the ability to execute this automatically. Have the ability to execute this automatically. Now when I compile this, you can see that. You can see it compiled and run. Currently, we are calling only insert here. We are calling only insert here, and it can, you can see that it is connected and inserting. That means this connection is regularly required. Then we give this to a constructor so that it is ready with the particular, so that we can start using it. So anything, if you want to configure, so the point is the word initializing value is wrong for constructor. The word initializing memory is correct for constructor. What our people has done is we have forget that technical correct point like initializing memory for handling a functionality. Automatically memory is initialized and we changed the definition to initialize values. Right? The constructor is initializing memory to handle any functionality by default. Right? And what we have done that instead of initializing memory, we changed it to initializing values. That means we restricted the constructor than whatever it is having technically actually. That means constructor is not for initializing the values actually. Constructor is used for initializing the functionalities. Initializing the functionalities means the functionalities will be ready so that you can start using them. It is used for initializing the functionality, not initializing the values. Because constructor is a function. Constructor is a function. It is used for initializing the functionality so that the functionality is ready to use by the class and its members. So that is what we do by using a constructor. So technically, that is important about constructor here. And this is one simple point. So many points are there about constructor. So this is just only one level of constructor you understood. That means you just understood the basic. And important here is when we define a constructor, it is like an anonymous, means it will not have any name. And observe carefully. Here, in other programming languages, generally, you have an habit of giving this database parenthesis, class name and parenthesis. So that is not required actually, not required. Because in TypeScript, automatically, you can see it will call that constructor. You can see it is calling the constructor database. The constructor is called automatically. And this is actually the constructor. It is of which type? Database type. That means it is calling that constructor automatically. It is calling the constructor automatically. Then you may ask, like, when I need this parenthesis? You need that parenthesis when a constructor is expecting some parameters. When a constructor is expecting parameters, at that time you need parenthesis. If constructor is not expecting parameters, then you don't need to define that. You don't need to define that. That means, for example, constructor needs parameters. Constructor needs parameters sometimes. Why we need parameters? Why we don't need parameters? I will tell you. We will discuss about that detailedly in a function-based concept, right? But important is when constructor needs parameters, at that time we use parentheses are used to pass parameters. Usually, we don't need parentheses for a constructor until or unless